Hi everybody, I'm Julia, Stock Business Revolutionary with Be Astute, and welcome to Ask the Coach. I've got a couple of questions that people have sent me in this week. So I have a lovely one here from Lola. She says, should I try to expand my business at the moment with all of the turmoil that's going on in the world, due to kind of post-COVIDness, lots of inflation around the place, small delicate war in Ukraine, leading to all kinds of issues. Based in the UK, it's kind of interesting. There are an awful lot of people who you can see in terms of business investment are already starting to remove themselves from trying to move forwards. Talking to people who work in advertising, some of the people who work in marketing, there are already some brands saying, let's stop investing in that. It's a natural thing that lots of people do when they are expecting a recession, because they look at that very short-term return on investment and say, why am I bothering to invest if we're potentially going to be bringing in fewer people? They're being very short-sighted. And what you can regularly see, and again, the advertisers and the marketers, yes, they've got a vested interest in getting you to invest in this stuff. But what you can consistently see is that those companies that invest in their sales and marketing at this point, when we're going into a possible recession, or certainly economic growth is very soft at the moment. But if you're investing and doing crazy stuff at this point, actually, in a lot of cases, it pays dividends, because your competition, these bigger brands that make decisions based on different metrics, they're removing themselves. So actually, it's a more open door. So the people who you want to get to aren't being bombarded with sales messages from these other people, so it allows you to begin the conversation. Depending on what your particular company is, Lola, it's an interesting question as to whether now is the time to be expanding or not. It kind of depends on whether or not you've reached peak capacity doing things the current way. So if you've got to the stage, and everybody does, where you're kind of butting up against these bigger issues, where you have to take bigger decisions, you've optimized it to the level that you can get to, and now we need to make the next step up. If you've reached that level, depending on what your business does, depends on whether now is a good time, or whether or not kind of holding fire for 6 months and seeing where the world is at in the spring is a good plan. You know, I'm recording this beginning of October 2022, and there is a lot of uncertainty across a wide range of areas of the economy. We do have a crackpot government at the moment, and that is creating and feeding a lot of this uncertainty. So if you are being sensible, you would hold off for 6 months. But if you're an ambitious business owner, then sensible isn't often our strongest trait. It does depend on your appetite for risk. It does depend on the opportunity that's available to you as to whether or not that opportunity is genius and you should grab it with both hands, or whether or not actually something better might come around the corner. If you're looking to invest into property, I have a client who is a house builder, for example. Now's not a great time to be investing in property and perhaps taking on and investing in more bricks and mortar premises, just because you are possibly purchasing or investing at the top of the cycle, and prices, if we have a sustained economic downturn, prices are going to go down. They're certainly probably not going to rise. Again, it comes back to why you're making that decision and what the key factors are. But, if you've got premises that you're busting out of and you can't wait 6 months, then you need to go shopping. Doesn't mean that you can't attempt to play more hardball in negotiating than you would have done otherwise. and you're potentially in a strong position. Again, there will be others that are withdrawing from the market, and there will be, if you are currently, you have property that's empty that you're looking to offload, the landlord, that seller may be open to a haggle just because they need rid of it. So it's always worth trying. So Lola, sorry to be vague, but without knowing more about your business, it's quite hard to actually give really solid advice. This is why when I'm working with people, I always like to get to know my clients or my potential clients and their individual circumstances first, rather than leaping into doing a load of stuff, because it allows me to give better advice. I have a second question out of my 2 questions today. So Frank has asked, I need to increase capacity in terms of staffing. And Frank wants to know whether or not he should be outsourcing and finding, independent freelancers, those kind of people, or whether or not he should be hiring. Really good question, Frank. And one that I talk to my clients a lot about. Both have pros and cons. As with most things in business, in case you hadn't noticed, a lot of the time it isn't black and white, and a lot of times it's kind of shades of grey, and depends on, again, your particular circumstances and the kinds of experiences you've had in the past, as well as the kinds of work you are looking for somebody to do. Also, if we're going to take a kind of mindset angle to it, it depends on how much of a control freak you are, Frank. I definitely have a number of clients who really struggle to let go and to delegate effectively. And so before we're looking to take on staff, whether we're outsourcing or whether we're hiring somebody, we need to look at all of that stuff as well. What kind of time do you have to invest in training somebody potentially? And also, it does depend on the type of work. Not every task can be easily outsourced. The same as if you're incredibly busy and you don't have time to invest in training somebody and making them feel loved, then hiring someone is also not a great plan. If you're hiring somebody, you can go with employed or self-employed. So you've kind of got 3 different options here. But some of the key tasks that you need to go through and the key stages for you are the same, irrespective of what employment mechanism you're going to be using. Because in the end, it doesn't matter whether you're outsourcing, taking on somebody self-employed, or employing somebody, you are getting somebody to do work for you. And therefore, it's kind of the same thing, just with different packaging. So my starting point would be to say you need a job description. You need to actually sit down and think about what it is that you need somebody to do and how that's going to work. What's the process going to be? How are you two going to be communicating with each other? I, again, spend a lot of time working with clients on this because often people need to bounce ideas off of somebody else. And so that's one of the things that I do with people. To really get it so that you're outsourcing the right bits. We want you as the business owner to enjoy running your business. So we want to try and be outsourcing the stuff that you don't enjoy doing and the stuff that you're not very good at. Because none of us are perfect at everything, however much we would like to be. You can call yourself a business god, and there will still be things where other people are better at it than you. And those are the bits that we want to get rid of. We want to get rid of the stuff where actually it's beneath your pay grade. So the things where actually we don't have to pay top dollar for somebody else to do it. And again, where there's this clear ground between somebody else can do it better than you. We also want to ideally move a whole chunk across so that somebody's not having to really be held up waiting for you. And again, that's irrespective of whether you're outsourcing or employing somebody. It needs to be cohesive, make sense. So a job description is absolutely the starting point with that. Again, I spent a lot of time helping people to write job descriptions because while I'm a trained recruitment consultant, not many other people are. And so if you've never written a job description, it's very easy to go, I don't know what I'm doing. So ask for help. Run it by somebody whose opinion you trust to go, does this make sense? But it needs to be somebody who knows and understands your business. Once you have written the job description, it becomes easier to see what kind of person that you need. So once we've written it, then we can put the label on it. And then you can start finding out what kind of potential freelancers are out there that could do that work for you, or whether or not there's somebody that you know that you could gently suck into working in your business, or whether or not you need to advertise and find somebody from scratch. Also, once you've written the job description, you'll have a much better idea how long it's going to take to do it. You're going to be able to look at the skill level of that work and be able to identify the kind of price tag that that's going to have. Then we can decide whether or not you've got the budget for that. And again, once you're back with all of that stuff, it becomes clearer whether you're outsourcing or recruiting. If you have trust issues, it may be better to recruit somebody so that you can have a closer relationship with them. But only if you've got the time to train and support and really get to know them and build a really close relationship with them. If you are outsourcing, it is never as close a business relationship as you have with a member of staff, but they need less nurturing. They're never going to be really part of your team. They don't have to feel loved in the same way. It's a different relationship. Once we've found some people to potentially work with us, one step that I always recommend is for you to do some kind of psychometric assessment with this person. It doesn't matter what the relationship is. You are forming a long-term relationship with somebody who's going to be working in your business, potentially going to be talking to your customers, is going to be interacting with you. Recruitment is the ultimate shotgun marriage. We're meeting somebody and going, yes, I want to play with you. There's a reason why we don't tend to marry somebody on the first date, because fundamentally it's a bad plan and we need to find out how annoying they're going to be. So it's kind of interesting as to why we do that with recruitment, maybe, on the first, second or third date. We don't really know people. It's very easy for both sides to lie to each other when you are interviewing. And overall, if you're just using an interview and a CV, then research shows you've got about a 20% chance of finding the right person. Ouch. And that is irrespective of whether you are outsourcing, taking on somebody self-employed or employed. You've got 20% chance of getting it right. Really great psychometrics. At The Astute, we use Harrison assessments to help you identify what somebody's really like beneath all the bluster, and whether or not they're really going to enjoy working for you, whether or not they're a good personality match to you, and what's going on in their lives that's perhaps impacting their commitment and how they're going to be with you and how much you're going to enjoy working with them. Because if you're not going to enjoy working with them, it doesn't matter. It's going to be painful. It's ultimately not going to be successful. So, Frank, outsource or employ, you really need to do the psychometrics. And psychometrics need not cost the earth, but getting the recruitment decision wrong will be very expensive. It's all hidden cost, but it is cost to the business. In economics, there is a term called opportunity cost. That is the cost of you not being able to do what you would have done if you hadn't had to go and do this. So if I had not recruited the wrong person, I would have been able to go and find these new clients, take on this new business, make £20,000 extra profit. So that opportunity cost of hiring the wrong person is that £20,000 that I couldn't earn, plus the direct costs of getting it wrong in terms of recruitment fees, all of the time and effort that I spent, and all of the money that I spent on the wrong person. So actually, by the time we include the opportunity cost, we're talking tens of thousands of pounds, even if you're outsourcing to the wrong person. So that's why we want to set it up properly with a quality job description and by using quality psychometrics, Frank. And then it doesn't matter whether or not you are outsourcing or employing or finding somebody on a self-employed basis, you know you're working with the right person. You can move forward with enormous confidence and it's going to be great for your business. In terms of going back to Lola's question around the economic uncertainty at the moment, it depends on how big and established your business is as to whether or not hiring somebody at the current time is a good plan. We saw in COVID businesses being forced to shed staff. So you really need to ask yourself what you think is going to happen in your business over the next 6 to 9 months in terms of whatever downturn or market uncertainty is coming. If you still need this person, can afford this person, even with quite a big shock to the business, then go ahead and hire. You can hire with confidence under those circumstances. Sorry, something happened and interrupted me there. We were talking about Frank's question, whether or not we should be using outsourcing or hiring people, because Frank needs to be increasing capacity. If you are confident about being able to survive, you've got so much work to get you through the next 6 months of uncertainty, hire and hire with confidence. If you're not and you need increased flexibility, then you should be looking at outsourcing or taking somebody on who is self-employed. I know that the vast majority of us are business owners because we want to be doing the right thing and to be running our business ethically. So it can feel wrong to deliberately set out to hire in a way that gives you maximum flexibility, which can feel like doing wrong by the people that you're working with. You're not wrong to feel that way, but your ultimate responsibility is to yourself, your family, and to your business for it to stay running. If this person that you're working with is so amazing that you want to hire them later on, you can have that conversation with them. They may fall so madly in love with you that they want to work with you full-time on a permanent basis. But if you're finding a great outsourced resource or somebody who's happy to work for you on a self-employed basis, you're going to be paying them extra as a premium for that reduction in flex or increase for you in flexibility, a reduction for them in terms of their security. But there are lots of people out there that aren't actually that bothered about job security. They want flexibility. They want the ability to fit work in with a whole bunch of other things. And full-time permanent employment is not rocking their world. There is a reason why so many people are moving away from that employed model. It's because it can feel quite constricting when life gets in the way. So hopefully, Frank, that has answered your question really well. Thank you so much for watching my Ask the Coach Anything session. I'm Julia Stock, Business Revolutionary, and I hope you can join me again soon for the next session. Thank you very much.